Hey peeps, welcome back to another quick video. Today we're going to talk about every single ULDUAR boss and one or two tips to basically help you out a little bit. First up, we have Ignis the Furnace Master. You can stand close, so when you're knocked up, you can actually use Thunderstorm to get mana and damage him, and the same thing with Fire Nova. Only use Chain Lightning if the adds are tanked close to the boss, so you can cleave off them and get the max overload percentage. Because Lightning Bolt has a 33% chance and Chain Lightning has 11% chance per person that you can hit, which is up to 3. Next up, Razorscale. Make sure your trinkets aren't on cooldown when you kill the adds. Sometimes I basically just AFK after the first 1 or 2 waves of the adds. So when your trinkets are up and you get a big fire alley, make sure that you have a friendly pal that you can ask to bop you, because when you get bopped, the knockback doesn't affect you. Obviously, this can make or break the pass, but if you don't get it, you can still pass 99, but it is a nice easy help. Now we have XT. So the fire alley usually dies to the sparks. You can technically use it twice if you glyph it, but I usually just go Flame Tongue Weapon because Fire Alley dies anyway. Use Chain Lightning on the Spark or the boss so it cleaves off and hits 2 people with a 22% chance. Alley is kinda meh on killing the adds. Obviously in 10 man you don't really have a choice, but in 25 man if you have mages or warlocks, if you don't need to attack the adds, don't bother because you're way better off just attacking the Sparks or the boss because you're not really good at killing the adds anyway. For Council, make sure that you use the runes. It's pretty simple, obviously. It's not really a tip because everyone knows this. And one important thing is make sure your Fire Alley actually attacks the target that you're killing first. If your Fire Alley is focusing a target that you're not killing, then all the damage it does to the target basically gets nullified whenever the main target dies, because the damage just get wiped, because everything else besides the target that got killed will heal back to full HP. So if your Fire Alley is attacking something completely random that you're not killing first, it's basically useless. For Kologarn, you can use Fire Nova Glyph here if you want to be really cool and just pad to the max. It only works if you kill both arms though. So basically what you want to do is you want to get yourself a big Fire Alley snapshot, place the totem really close to him. So basically in front of the boss. I usually just use rocket boots, jump to the boss, put my Fire Alley down, go back to the range, and then you can use Chain Lightning and Fire Nova basically on cooldown. You can also Flame Shock the main boss, which is obviously Kologarn, and you can, put another Flame Shock on an arm, which is kind of helpful. But it only counts towards your pass if the arm dies. Next up, we have the Cat Lady. Make sure that you have your Tremor Totem down because she does fear. It's really useful, obviously. If you want to time it right, you kind of have to get the feel for it, but if you time it right so it immediately cleanses off the fear, it obviously is a great DPS increase because you can throw in 1 or 2 more lightning bolts. The mini swarm adds don't count towards your pass. It's only the big cat and the lady. So basically just focus the lady, the boss, focus her down, make sure that you cleave off her with Chain Lightning, because even if the swarm doesn't count towards your pass, you can get the max Chain Lightning overload proc chance through the adds still, and it might double cast on the boss, which obviously means it's a big damage increase. For Thorim, make sure that your trinkets aren't on cooldown when you come from the tunnel, because when you jump down and your trinkets are on cooldown, it's very annoying whenever your Fire Alley isn't big. Make sure that you're sitting at the back wherever you're supposed to stand, completely at the wall, because when Blizzard comes around, you can just move forward a little bit and you don't get hit anymore. Also, obviously, you need to get lucky and don't get the lightning stuff on you. If the lightning stuff spawns on you multiple times, you're basically already screwed and you can't really do much about that. For Freya, everything counts towards your pass, besides the damage that you do on Freya before she's killable. So I use Fire Nova Glyph and make sure that I basically just spam it on the exploding adds whenever we stack up. I also have Thunderstorm Glyphed so it doesn't knock back because I'm not the person to knock back, which also increases your AoE damage by quite a lot. Whenever the 3 adds spawn, the little Snap Lasher, the Water Dude, and the Storm Dude, you can obviously just Chain Lightning and focus them down. Make sure that you kill them whenever, possible, but make sure that you kill them together, otherwise they respawn. For Mimiron, you can use the Fire Alley Glyph because you can spawn it in the first phase and the last phase. Spread a little bit, so in phase 2 and phase 4, you're not completely screwed whenever it does the little pew pew, because it's basically undodgeable, and I don't mean the barrage, I just mean the targeted bullets that you basically cannot dodge. There's nothing you can do about it. So you want to basically be as spread as possible, but also be close to a healer, and make sure that whenever your Fire Alley is dead, you use Searing Totem, obviously, but also throw yourself a heal if necessary. I know it sucks whenever you have to heal yourself, but it is better than dying because you still do more damage when you're alive and you heal yourself 2 or 3 times. For Hodir, I personally like using the Flame Shock Glyph, especially if you're in the beam ripping with the haste and all the cooldowns that you're ripping, Flame Shock just destroys the boss. Also make sure to get a big Fire Alley snapshot. It can be a little awkward, so your trinket procs on freeing the ads at the start and you only have one trinket up plus pre-pot. It is better to still use Fire Alley with that because you have a really short kill time for the hard mode, so it's really necessary to have Fire Alley there. For general Vesax, you're actually just doing the same thing, only cast when you're in the puddle because the puddle gives you more haste, less mana cost and whatnot, so it's very important to only cast on the puddle because there is no mana regeneration. Also, Flame Shock Glyph, it does 60% more damage on the crits, so since it ticks so fast because you have so much haste, it just is a better DPS increase than using something else. Also, big Fire Alley snapshot helps you again, and when you're on the puddles, usually we have two groups. Whenever you dodge, you usually dodge to, well, depends on which group you are, either to the left or the right. Instead of, dodging to the left or the right, you can technically go forward and then put your Searing Totem down so it hits the boss whenever Fire Alley is dead. For Yarg, you can run the Fire Alley glyph as well. You can use it in phase 1 and phase 3. Fire Alley in phase 1 is big padding. It does count towards your pass, so it helps a lot. The best success I had was basically with Fire Alley because it's just free damage without doing anything. For Algalon, make sure your Fire Alley, when you spawn him, attacks the boss only. You don't want the Fire Alley going rogue, attacking all the stars on Algalon, because whenever a star dies, a big AoE damage is going to happen, which obviously means, well, you either die because you're not full HP, or it's going to be a struggle. So make sure to spawn the Fire Alley at the start of the combat whenever your trinkets are procced. Even if only one is procced, you don't want the Fire Alley going rogue. Those are all the tips that I have for you today. I might make another video for a few more tips, but these are basically just standard tips that help people when they're not that experienced on the bosses.